everyone, welcome. I'm Gina Schreck, and we are going to talk about 5 reasons. It's going to be a little bit of a rant, but this is going to be 5 reasons why social media is not working for your business. And the reason it's a little bit of a rant is I've had several people in the last week ask me questions that they seem like I've heard them too many times. And so we're going to talk about 5 reasons social media does not work for your business and what to do about that. So, hey everyone, welcome. Chime on in. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Let me know if I'm just being cranky. Maybe because I switched to this strawberry acai instead of coffee in the afternoon. Maybe I'm just feeling cranky right now. But I'm going to go down this path of why social media doesn't work. And really, there's so many people who have been on social media for 10 years and they still seem to be trickling along. Joseph, I'm not talking about you. Hey, Michelle. Hi, my sweet daughter. And for those of you who might be panicking going, Michelle is Gina's daughter. She's not, but it's a joke. Somebody thought I was her mom. So, that's why she calls me mom and I call her my sweet daughter. Hey, Robbie. But I actually have had people who have been on social media for a long time, for years, and they still feel like it's just trickling. Things aren't really clicking. There we go. Have all these pop-ups coming up on my screen. And so that might be the case for you. You might have been on social media for a long time and you still feel like it's just not really working for you. Or maybe you're new to social marketing for your business. Maybe you've been on social media for personal and now for your business you're trying to get it working for you. Or maybe you're starting over. And I've actually done that. When we rebranded our company, gosh, it's been 5 years ago now, we had to start back from zero, which was really hard. It was just hard on our ego. You know, it's hard to start back to zero on all of your fans and followers and everything else. And when we work with clients that are brand new, we're starting from zero. So we know what it takes to build a following and a fan base and something that actually works and converts into traffic and dollars. So I kind of get a little cranky or agitated when I hear people say social media doesn't work. And I also get cranky when I hear people say, I've been doing this for a few months now and nothing's happening. I go, I've been doing this for 10 years. I've been on social media for 10 years. You can't expect results in 3 weeks. So the first tip and the first reason that things aren't working on social media for you is you're impatient. And patience is one of those things that it's hard with social media because we expect results right away. And Joseph, you said you just shared. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for sharing. And ditto, Sally, shout out to you. That's so true. We're all impatient. And when we get on social media, there's a challenge. Large and small brands have this problem. Everyone wants thousands of followers and fans right away. So some fall into the temptation of, I'll just buy some followers and fans and it'll look, at least on my ego, it'll look like I've got some friends. And the problem with that is, it'll not equate to sales. And so later you're going to be frustrated that there's no ROI for your activity because all your activity is going to fake accounts. So don't be tempted to go that route. And Barb, you're so right. Persistence is golden. And you know, for those of you who have been around, you have to do the time. You can't expect results. And yeah, Bree, vanity metrics, boo. Exactly. But it's tempting. People fall for that trap. And I've had people say, when I ask them, you know, what is your goal being on social media? What are some of your goals? And they say, well, my goal is to have 10,000 fans or to have, and it's like, okay, I can buy you 10,000 naked spammers tomorrow. That will do nothing for your business. So patience comes in the form of being consistent every day, of doing the work that we typically don't want to do. And the work comes in researching our competitors. And that's another thing that just chaps my hide, is when people say, I don't have any competitors. And I go, well, then number one, you don't need to market yourself. Or number two, you're selling a product that there is no need for, like shoelaces for hoverboard, I don't know, bindings. And so, if you have no competition, you either have a product that's not needed, or you're fooling yourself. There's people out there, or you would have every customer and not need to market. There are people out there who are taking customers that could be yours. You need to find them on the social media channels, and you need to study them. And when I say study them, I don't just mean write down their page name and put it in your Facebook pages to watch, which, by the way, if you have a business page, you can go into your insights and put pages to watch, and you can put all your competitors in that section, so you can kind of keep an eye on what are they doing and how are they getting more engagement, and are they running campaigns? Are they using better graphics? Do they post more times in a day than you do? All those things make a difference in all the activity makes a difference in the results. And people will argue this and say, well, I have great content. It doesn't matter. If your competition is engaging, don't go by they have more followers or fans, because they could have bought them. Whenever I see a page with 200,000 fans, I look at how many people are engaging on that page. And Robbie says it's so difficult to be consistent. It is. That is the hardest thing. And typically it takes more than one person. So, Robbie, you might have to twist your husband's arm and say, you're going to have to write at least a couple posts with me. Or you're going to have to set aside a day and just write a whole bunch of content and have that as your storehouse that you can then schedule out there. Hey, Jeff, how are you? So, the key is with the consistency of content. When people say, oh, well, I post, every once in a while, and I see a lot of this. I post once a week, and they think they're all, they're excited and they're proud, but they wonder why there's no results. I read this post, and it was put out by Post Planner. And this post talked about how they grew their Facebook page, and they're a business like ours. So I was interested, because it's really hard to get a business page to grow fast. It just is. It takes a lot of work. And they talked about on Facebook, they went from posting 1 post a day to 9 posts per day, which I thought was overload. But it was interesting because the activity created results. They did some other things, and part of it was they analyzed their competition. Just like I always tell everybody, you have to see what other people are doing and what are people engaged with, not just how many fans, but what are people actually commenting on, and what are they sharing, and what do they like. And we laugh because we have a couple clients that we call Fluff content clients, that the Fluff content does so well. You could put a picture of a kitty sitting on top of a rainbow, and it'll get 400 comments and like 38 shares in an hour. It's crazy. And then you put a piece of great crafted, meaty content, nothing. Crickets. And it's just maddening, because you go, what is wrong with our society that all we want to see is fluff? But keep in mind the platform you're on. On Facebook, it tends to be a fluffier content audience. We're scrolling and we have lots of content, and fluff content is easy. We don't have to commit to writing a response, so we can just like it. We can share it. Fluffy content is easy content to get results on Facebook, and there's a strategy. Joseph says there's probably a tipping point after which Facebook, the algorithm or Twitter algorithm, shows you to more people. There is. Also people, I missed that one. Also, there we go. Come to check their feeds. Let's see, come to check their feeds. Okay, yeah, at different times. Joseph, that's right. So posting at different times throughout the day, you're hitting the morning people, the noon people, the afternoon people. Don't forget weekend people who catch up on social media. Yeah, Sally, it is so hard to get clients understand that social media engagement is not about instant results. And it takes planning, and it takes, like, we look at it and go, okay, we need fluff content to be kind of just to get, the marshmallow sweetness of getting people to just stick to the page. So they come and they like it and they share it, which the algorithm then shows Facebook that, oh, people are sharing and liking. Let's show this to more people. Then you start weaving in some meat. But if you put too much meat, people can't take it. They can't digest it on Facebook. Now, that doesn't mean on LinkedIn, the meat doesn't work. The fluff doesn't work on LinkedIn. So you have to know your platforms. And again, look at your competition and study that and say, what's working? Not that you copy what they're posting, but you need to take a clue. Like, I had somebody tell me that their industry just doesn't work on social media. And I said, I will challenge that. I will find some people on using social media and they're rocking it in your industry. So sometimes we make an excuse because we just don't want to do the work. It's a lot of work. And Sally, you're right. It's a lot of work. Hey, Rebecca, how are you? Okay, so the first reason is we're impatient. That's one reason things won't work for us. We have to do the time. And when I say time, I don't mean a month. I mean a year. Which is another thing I really liked about Post Planner, the article they wrote, because, and I'll put it in the show notes here, in the description after, but they spent a year and they did this, they had analyzed the results over a year. So, when people tell me social media isn't working, I look and go, how long have you been doing it right? Like, how long have you been consistent? How long have you been posting good content? A month, 2 months, not enough. You've got to put in the time. So the second reason I think social media isn't working for you is a lot of times we don't care, and this is a tough one, but we don't care to listen to other people. We look at it as our activity to check off the list. I have to post this. I have to get this content out. Instead of saying, I'm going to go to an event for 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day, or 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes at night. I'm going to go to an event. The event happens to be on social media channels. And on that event, I'm going to walk around and I'm going to listen to what people are talking about. I'm going to go into groups and I'm going to see what they're saying. I'm just going to like and comment. I'm not going to start pushing my card in people's faces. I'm going to listen. I'm going to respond. I'm going to comment. 30 minutes in the afternoon, 30 minutes in the morning, and then 30 again in the afternoon. That type of activity is what we call walking about or listening. And you can't just post and leave and expect results. So it is about asking a question, even on your page. Listen to what people say and then further the discussion, which is another thing that gets me so angry when I comment on someone's page and I never hear back, or I ask a question and I never get an answer. Acknowledge every comment. When somebody comments on your page, even to let them know, I appreciate you sharing that, or I appreciate your comment on that. Thanks for being social with us, or what a great point you make. Letting them know you want more conversation. And I think it's one of those things that we're so used to just posting and broadcasting. Barb, you said one reason for failure is not aligning with the reason you use social, which, yeah, that's the very first thing is, why are you going to be on social media? What is your goal there? What's your point for being there? Without that, you are totally wasting time. And so many people just start throwing posts up everywhere and then they expect results. And you're going, what was the plan here? And there wasn't. So yeah. Thanks, Joseph. I get kind of fired up. So maybe whatever's in this strawberry acai, maybe it's better than coffee. I'm getting fired up. Hola, Juancho. Good to see you. Okay, so the second reason is we don't care to listen. So it does take time to listen to what people are saying. Go to other pages, go to other profiles, go to groups, get engaged there, meet people. Remember, it's just like you're going to an activity. It's like you're going to a social activity, and you're able to do it with hundreds, if not thousands of people every time you go to one and never even have to leave your house. So I think that's a great perk. Okay, the third reason I think social media may not be working for you, another touchy one, but maybe your content isn't that great. So, that movie, I think it came out in 2009, He's Just Not That Into You. maybe they're just not into the content you're writing. And here's the hard thing. And I know, because even for years I was in training and speaking, professional speaking, and I would write these programs and I would love them and I would think, oh, this content is so awesome. It's the best content ever. Well, maybe it's not. And after a while, you got to cut a story that's just old and boring. Or you've got to cut a piece of content out of a training program because it's not effective. And it's one of these things that we fall in love with our own content so much so that it's hard for us to let it go. And sometimes we create content on our social channels and it's really not that good. And there's not a rule of thumb that says here's the type of content that is good and here's the type of content that is not. But if you look at other pages that do well and look at, do they have beautiful visuals, or do they have corny images, or do they have no images? Do they have long posts and then people comment after that, or do they have short posts or questions or fill in the blanks? What type of content is working well and what type of content does not? Now, we use Hootsuite for our dashboard, our social marketing dashboard with clients. And what I love is at the end of the month, we look at the analytics and we say, out of all the posts this month, what were the top performing posts and what were the lowest performing posts? And we start looking at, why did these do so well? What about these posts was different than the posts that didn't do well? Was it the time of day? Was it a question? Were they too long and wordy? Hey, Robert had to tune in. Speaking of that, yeah, notice the beautiful timepieces I have behind me. Robert made this one right here, that beautiful metal work. Okay, so look at, why did these posts do well? And you have these analytics available to you on all your social channels, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. If you go into the insights or the analytics for your social channels, you can see which posts did the best. And then start analyzing that. Why didn't these posts perform well? And start tweaking them and making changes to those posts. Because a lot of times we're putting out content that we think is great, no one else does. So I think that's hard. I have a problem with group joiners who never contribute content. Yeah, that is hard, Sally. And I think that's a problem especially on LinkedIn. Well, it's probably true on Facebook too. People join too many groups and then they don't participate, or they assume that they join a group so that they can just bombard that group with promotional stuff when they have stuff to sell. And that's a big no-no. You don't join a group to try to sell to that group. You join a group to build relationships, to build partnerships, to see if there's questions that you can help with, and like you said, contribute and be value and add value to that group. So yeah, I think groups can get us in trouble if we don't have the right motive. What's your motive for joining a group? I love groups to learn from. It's kind of like associations. If you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find a new room. If you, and there are associations, and I've belonged to several, and you go in and you feel like a rock star, that whole ego stroking thing is not good for you because you're not learning anything there. You need to go where you're around really smart people and that you're learning from each other, you're contributing, but you're also learning. So, question your own motives as to why you join a group, and I think that'll help. And once you're in a group, it's not that you can't softly promote what you do or how you can help someone, but you're not there for that reason. And most groups have very strict, well, on LinkedIn, we need more groups that have strict rules against that, because I think there's too many that let that go on. Folks forget that groups are communities. Yeah. And so Kirsty, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I have the nice lighting on today. That's why. But yeah, I think, we have to remember these are communities, and I don't go and just start shoving my business card in people's faces. I am there to contribute. I'm there to learn from each other, from the other people there. So, and then again, look even within groups. What are the conversations that people are having in that group that are really sparking good discussions? take that concept. Can you put a spin on content on your social media pages? Because now you can kind of see what content is interesting to people. Sometimes, again, we're blind to what's right in front of us. It's like, oh, everyone's discussing this topic, and yet we're not even bringing it up in our social channels. So look at what's trending in your industry and see how you can tie your discussions in with some of those trends, and that'll be helpful. Okay, let's see, what am I at? 4. The fourth reason I think your social media isn't working is you're forgetting that it's all marketing. It's not social marketing, offline marketing, it's all marketing. And I think sometimes we forget and we put them in these silos and these separate channels. And I see this within big companies that we work with, that social marketing, we're kind of put in a silo, and they don't even include us in the discussions when they're planning big marketing campaigns or huge changes to their business, and they don't include social. And then we find out about things. Sometimes we find out about it on a Google alert, and then we'll go to them and go, oh, why? Like, this should have been in your social marketing. This should be included. So in big companies, it happens. Within entrepreneurs, small businesses, and solopreneurs, the way we do it is we forget that our offline activities and our online activities should be blended together. So, for example, on your business cards, is there any indication of how people can connect with you on social channels? Do people know that you even have a Facebook page, or that you're on LinkedIn or on Twitter? I think it amazes me that people always wonder, well, how come nobody connects with me on social media? Well, who have you told? And there are businesses that have brick and mortar stores, and there's nothing in their store that says, hey, connect with us on social media. We'd love to be social with you. Hotels, they're getting better. Now you start seeing little signs, places, and when Foursquare was huge, I loved it because I love checking in places and trying to become the mayor of all these places. It was crazy, but you would see stickers in the window, check in here and you get discounts and things when you checked in, or free guacamole if you checked in at what was my favorite place? At Sol. Oh, it's in Park Meadows. Del Sol maybe, but you checked in and you get free guacamole. So I'm always about the freebies. And if you have a business, look at ways that you can, when people check in, offer rewards or reward them somehow, thank them for being social with you. But if you're the business, how are you making sure your offline community knows that you're online? In your email, make sure you have a signature at the bottom that mentions, here's where you can connect with us. Put your social media channels at the bottom of your email so it lets people know. And don't feel like that's, number one, it's not hard to do. Copy, paste little icons and then hyperlink them in your email signature, and you can have that. And then it's also not being pushy. It's letting people know you may not always check your email. Maybe you're not an email person. Here's where you can connect with us. So business cards, signature lines, your website should have, and for goodness sakes, go to your websites and check the links to all your social channels. I can't tell you how many websites I go to and I click on their social media links and they're dead. They don't go anywhere. Or they go to the web developers. That's even worse. I've seen pages where I click on it and it goes to the web designer's Facebook page, Twitter account. They didn't change the URL, so that's kind of funny. Percy says, my takeaway, boom, putting my social links on the signature. Do it. And if you need little icons, I can send you an email, and you could just copy the little icons and paste them into your email and then change the hyperlinks. It's that easy. Okay, where else can we put them to let people know? Little handouts. Now, this seems like a weird industry, but we've worked with lots of funeral homes. Everybody is social these days. And it was always creepy when the undertaker is following you on Twitter. But hey, they've got to be social too. So on the funeral homes, we had them create little cards that just said, be social. Here's where you can be social with us. Because on those channels, we gave away lots of content and resources for people who were either looking for grief resources, they were looking for resources even before that, doing their own funeral planning, and just anything you could think of. We provided all kinds of resources. So we told the funeral homes, you should be handing these out when you're talking to people or when you go to chamber events. Give information out that says, here's how to connect with us on our social media chat. Because who would think that a funeral home would be on social media? Yeah, I wouldn't have. But there's lots of them on social media, tons of them. And that's a whole topic into itself, but we won't even go there. But there's a lot that we could go into. So make sure your offline activities promote your online activities. And then when you're online, promote if you've got offline activities, such as I have a brick and mortar store. Obviously, you're promoting that. But don't forget the other way. Kirsty, I'll send you that email. I even put my social media icons in my 3D virtual office. Sally loved that. Yeah, I loved it. In Second Life, I had this area where you go and stand on a Facebook icon, a Twitter icon. We had all these different social media channels, and then people shared share your links to your sites and things. Such cool stuff in there. But think outside the box. Where else can you? I have a shirt. I was talking about this with someone yesterday. I have a shirt that just says @GinaShrek. And for a long time, probably 10 years ago, I got that shirt. And I would wear that out places, and my husband would go, okay, is that in case you get lost? Like somebody will, you lose your mind and they'll know how to help you find your way home. But the worst was I ordered a shirt that had a QR code on it. And when you scan it, it went to our website. And I thought that was so cool, except I didn't think through the whole thing of people putting their phone and scanning your chest. Yeah, not such a great idea. But get creative. Think outside the box. How can you help people connect with you on social media? Because it's one thing to tell people on social media to connect with you, but how do you get other people to connect with you? And asking your friends and family. And we've been having this discussion in our Facebook group on DIY Social about friends and family who say they'll support you in your ideas and your business. And, oh, of course, I'll like your business and I'll like this. If that's not your ideal customer, don't go there. But if it's somebody who you can work with, but that's a whole, Barbara and I have been talking about, that's going to be a great topic for a Facebook Live we're going to do. Why is it that our friends don't support our business, even referring business? We'll go there another time. Don't just do social, be social. Oh, look at that, Robert. That's a great saying. I should put that on a shirt. I lose my mind often, but I'm taking memory pills now. That helps me remember where I put Joseph. I think, hey, Christopher, how are you? I think it's one of those things we do have to just find creative ways to let people know that we are on social marketing and we want to connect with them. We want to be social. We're not trying to sell to people. We want them to know we have important resources, which is interesting on our personal accounts. So for example, I have a personal Facebook profile. Then I have a business page, and then we have a group. On my personal page, I don't post a whole lot of information about social marketing. Occasionally I do, but I don't post a lot of business stuff on my personal page, my personal profile. But what I'll do is I'll tell people, hey, if you're interested in business marketing tips, join either our Social Connects page or our DIY social group. So I'm going to let people know if they're interested, come here to join. And you have to do that more than once, because you do it once, it's not enough. Hey, Peter Edwards, how are you? And Sally, thank you. It's one of those things we have to be repetitive. And I had somebody just the other day say, how often should I post on my social media channels? And, it's one of those things that we think we're annoying people. And actually her comment was, I don't have a lot of people following me, so I don't want to post too often and annoy them. And I said, well, it's the opposite. If you don't have a lot of people following you, it doesn't matter. You could post 100 times a day. Let's say you have 10 people following you. Those 10 people, how many people do they follow? Because they might be following 500 people. You're posting 100 times a day. They don't see all of your posts. We think everybody's watching, just sitting at their computer waiting for us to post again. They're not, sadly. Hey, Chris. Good to see you, man. Hey, Ryan. my Miss Marianne here. They're not just sitting there waiting for us to post. We think they are, but we can post every single, as a matter of fact, for a while I was doing every 30 minutes. I was posting on Twitter every 30 minutes. And as long as it's good content and it's not just, hey, I'm having a tuna sandwich for lunch. I did see somebody today that said, I'm having water at Starbucks. And that was what they posted. I don't know if they were just trying to say they were psychotic. Like, why are you at Starbucks having water? Or why that was interesting to people. But, keep in mind, if you're posting interesting content, then you can post 100 times a day. Where it comes into the problem is if it's reversed. If I have somebody that connects with me and they're brand new to social media and they're following 3 people on Twitter, I typically will send them a message and say, I'm going to apologize up front because I'm going to overwhelm your feed. It's like my father-in-law. We got my father-in-law set up on Facebook and I only connected him with a few family members. I was one of the family members I connected him with. So when he logged in, he called me and he said, I think somehow I'm logging into your account. And I said, no, you have your own account. He goes, no, when I log in, all I see is you and your stuff. So I think I'm in your account. But it's because I was the only one who was over posting compared to the rest of my family. So he thought he was in my account, but typically it's not going to, it's not going to bother people. How often should you post? Again, that's kind of the question, Sonia, of the year. And typically there has been proof. The more you post, the more followers and fans you get. We were talking earlier, Post Planner did a study for a year and they posted 9 times a day on Facebook. And I post right now on every hour on Twitter, 1 post every hour. I've done every 30 minutes. It's just hard to create more and more content. But, I reuse like blog posts. I'll repost those and keep those in circulation. But original content, you need a lot of content to post good content consistently. But Post Planner did 9 times a day and they grew their following. I want to say they grew it by 1,000 people. It was crazy. They went from 1 post a day to 9 posts a day. And I've listened to bloggers who say on Facebook, they will post 3 to 6 times a day to get the engagement, because Joseph mentioned earlier, you're hitting a different audience at different times a day. So when we log into Facebook, we're seeing the posts that came out recently. Unless you're in a group. And Robert and I, Robert, you and I have had this discussion. When you log into a group, it's frustrating because you think you're seeing the last post, but you're seeing the last post that had a discussion posted. So they're not in chronological order. They're in the order of which the discussions are happening. So they'll continue moving up and down. But on your personal profile or your business page, if you're posting good content, I say 3 to 6 times on Facebook. As long as it's good stuff, you could get away with it. On Twitter, you can't, I think it's hard to post too often on Twitter. It really is it's hard. And on Instagram, 3 to 6 times on Instagram seems to be the magic sweet spot to get higher numbers. If you look at the accounts that get really high numbers of not just followers, but the engagement, the comments, those are the accounts that are posting multiple times a day. Doesn't mean you have to. I don't. On our account, we probably post 1, maybe 2 times a day on Instagram. A couple times I'll do 3 times on Instagram a day, and my daughter will contact me. She's 20 and she'll go, Mom, like way too many posts going on Instagram. And I go, I don't care. I'm doing it. So, you got to do what works for you, and you start measuring the results. Let's see. What does that say on my shirt? This one says, Nama, pray about it. Instead of namaste, Nama, pray about it. Keyword Starbucks. Oh, I'm behind in my comments here. Let's see. Why don't people form sharing rings? Oh, they do, Joseph. And I caution people on these sharing rings. Make sure. I was in a couple groups early on, and they would say, I just posted something. Can you guys all go and like it? Can everybody share this? Which works as long as you stay within a group of people who all share content that is interesting and helpful to the audience you have. So you don't want to start diluting the content that you share to your audience and go off topic I'm a big believer that when somebody goes to my profiles and looks even one page scrolling, they'll know what I am an expert in. They'll know what I focus on. They'll know how I can help them. If they see too many off-topic things, it becomes kind of random. So if you can stay within a group of people who all share very similar content or complementary content, it could work. And there are other sharing groups out there. What's a good rate of engagement per post? Well, when you're first starting out, if you can get 3 people that comment and engage on a post, that's awesome. And then you want to just you take your benchmark, and then every month you start looking at, am I growing the engagement? Am I growing? And it takes time. But to me, there's not a number that you should be striving for, because you shouldn't compare yourself to, that big company that has 15 people on their team writing content and posting every, hour. You can't compare the engagement numbers or the number of posts, but it's one that you want to look at and say, okay, they are posting multiple times a day. I need to up from 1 a week to 1 a day, and then go 3 a day to, get that engagement up. But I think then you start benchmarking numbers and just measure every month. Is that growing? Okay, I kind of got off topic because the last one that I wanted to bring up, I had 5 reasons why social media might not be working. Remember, the first one was we're impatient. The second one is we don't always care to listen. We're just broadcasting. The third reason was our content may not be interesting like we think it is. The fourth one is we need to blend our offline and our online marketing together to make that work. And the last one is reason why our social media may not be working is we say we're too busy. And I know, I totally get this. I am involved in way too many things. And I am one of the most busy people that I know. I always admire people who say they're reading magazines or they're watching these TV series, and they watch all kinds of TV series. I'm like, how do you have time to watch so much TV? There's not a series that I get to sit and just watch. So when people tell me that they don't have time to do this, my first thing is, what do you spend your time on? The second thing I remind people is, marketing is part of our business. And if you say, I don't have time for all this social media junk and it doesn't work, then you know what? Your business may not be around in a couple years, and so you'll have lots of time. And so that's the good news. And then you'll have lots of time to watch more of the shows. But if you look at it and say, if my business is serious, then I have to look at marketing as an activity that has to be done. So just like bookkeeping, just like payroll, I hate those kind of activities. And I say I'm too busy with getting things done to worry about those. But if I didn't do them, my business, I wouldn't be in business. Like if I didn't pay taxes, if I didn't do payroll, if I didn't do all these things, but I have someone else that does that stuff that I don't have time to do. So you either have to bring on a part-time person, an intern, someone to help you do some of the tasks. And I know people who write all the content out, and then they have somebody that schedules and posts and responds and does all of that. You have to find a way to make your marketing fit into your schedule. Or if you can't afford to bring someone on yet, then you have to cut activities out of your day, and usually it's at night or early morning, and you have to say, I'm going to have to get it done then. It's not one of these things that's just optional if you are serious about building your business, because our customers are no longer doing business the way we used to do business 10 years ago. I watched a special today on the Today Show, and it was this morning. That's probably the one show I always have on in the morning. While I start working and I'm going through and kind of reading content, I have the Today Show on. And it was interesting because it was a couple who just got married, and they did their entire wedding digitally. They didn't send out paper invitations. They did hashtags. They had a GoPro in her bouquet filming. They had a drone above, which was, I was going, that's got to be interesting noise-wise. But I thought it was really fascinating to listen to this couple they were 30. I think one was 30 and 31 or something, but they weren't 19 and 20-year-olds. These were 30-year-olds. So this was a couple who they see, and they said they do everything on their phone. Everything on their phone. They order stuff on their phone. They did all their gifts on their phone. They said they asked people to just do digital gifts. That was another thing that was really interesting. When people tell me, oh, I hate Yelp, it's all fake reviews, it's all this, I go, oh my gosh, I don't care if you hate it. Consumers use it. So we have to look at it and say, we may hate Facebook, we may hate Twitter, but if your customers are there, you better be there. You can't ignore where your customers are going. And to me, it just drives me nuts when people say, oh, I don't have time for all this stupid social media stuff. Then close the doors and start a woodworking business that is on a farm and call yourself Amish, because I don't know who is not, your new customers coming in most likely will be digitally looking for you. So you have to be online. You have to have a presence. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be on every channel. That's another question I get is, do I have to be on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, all of these? No, you shouldn't be on all of them. You should pick one or two platforms and rock them. You should be really the expert in that. If you have to sign up for a class or you have to study the competition that's on that channel, but rock that and then expand. Could a possible discussion be what to pay our social media personnel? Wow, that's such a great question. I have actually gotten from ATD and SHRM, SHRM, the Society for Human Resource Management. They have some great pay studies that they put out every year, and social media marketing in corporate environments is they're being paid $50,000 to $70,000 a year. They're highly paid. Now, when you talk about bringing on a social marketing person, and again, this would be a great discussion to go further into, but you have to outline what are the activities I'm looking for. And I've learned this the hard way over 10 years. I'm thinking as long as somebody knows Facebook or Twitter or something, I can hire them. Not the case. I need someone who can write. And then you start looking at the business savvy. Can they engage with the customers with a business savviness? Because you can teach anybody. I can teach anybody. I mean, I taught my father-in-law, who's 82, how to use Facebook. So I can teach the technical stuff. What you can't teach is the business savvy and the writing skills, and those can hurt a business if you don't have those. So, I always say, really identify what is it you're looking for, because you may not need them to write. You might write all the content and they need to just schedule. So they need the tech skills. Might be a lower pay for just tech skills. So hopefully that's a good overview on that. But okay. Don't upset the Amish, Adrian says. That's true. I better be careful because I might get like some wood legs thrown at me or something. Some days I just want to become Amish. I crave that. I just want to go live on a farm. I want to raise little baby goats that wear sweaters and pajamas. And have no technology. And I know within a week I would be crawling back, searching for Wi-Fi at every neighbor's house. So, but it's true. It's true. We can't say, I've had people tell me I don't do technology. And I always laugh because I go, that's like saying you don't do electricity. Like, what do you mean you don't do technology? Everybody uses technology today. I don't care. The latest studies that came out of people in our country who have mobile phones and use mobile phones and are on social media is unbelievable. It's like 75% of people now have a smartphone. 75%. I think it was a number something like that in our country. Crazy high. So if we are not focused on how to engage our customers on social media, we might as well find a different line of work, because I don't know who your customers are. You'd have to find those customers, that 25% who are not there. And even, the fastest growing demographic on Facebook is over 55. So you can't say, well, my audience is older. All the more reason to be on social media. As a matter of fact, out of my 4 kids, I have 4 kids, 20, I always have to remember how old they are. 2025. I'm sorry if you're listening, children. 2026. Taylor's 26. 30. I think Jacob's going to be 30 and Danny's 32. My 4 kids. And out of my 4 kids, my 32-year-old Danny, he's very tech savvy, but he's a digital media and sound expert. And so he's very tech savvy, but he doesn't text me. Hint, hint. My younger son, Jacob, never. Like tech, I'm going to say it, tech-tarded. I know I shouldn't say that, but he will not use technology. Taylor uses technology, loves technology, but isn't as tech connected. Her and Bailey, she's 20, they are not as tech connected as I am. Partly because of what I do, but Taylor's in the same business with me and they choose not to be as connected because, they think paper calendars are so retro. I'm always getting on their case. I go, how do you use a paper calendar? There's Google Calendar. There's Cozy Calendar. How are you using a paper calendar? But they use a paper calendar. So it's that generation that's kind of swinging back. So maybe there's hope for all of us Amish dreamers. Do I stare at my phone at family dinners? No. But I usually take a picture if we're out. I'm the family photographer and I'll be the first to snap a picture and put it on Instagram. And I've kind of learned the hard way. You have to ask permission for any of your kids before you post it on Instagram. But no, I don't. And I know the importance of, like, we do family game nights and go out and do things, but I'll be the one with my phone in my pocket, whipping it out and filming or taking pictures or doing stuff more than they would. I would say more than they would. So yeah, who knows? I'm just an anomaly. I do love the Amish, Kirsty. I love the Amish. If you're out there and you're Amish, you wouldn't be watching. So I can't even tell you I love you. But for everyone else, I love you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for letting me rant a little bit and get it off my chest. And do those activities. Change a little bit. Pick something. What's one of the 5 things? I've blogged about this topic. I'm going to go in and put this in the show notes. Some of these resources that I've talked about, I'll put these in the description here. You could check out the blog. It has a little more detail on socialconnects.com/blog, and you'll see it there as well. But thank you for tuning in and have an awesome rest of your afternoon. I'm going to actually go to the gym today. That's right. I'm back at the gym. I'm not doing very much still, but I am back in action with my new hip. So I'm going to go get hip at the gym. So have a great night. Talk to everyone later.